What's up, legends? The new Force of Law Warbond has just dropped, and as per usual, we've got the entire Warbond unlocked, and we have tested out everything in the Warbond today on live stream playing solo on Super Helldive difficulty. And with that, let's kind of talk about that a little bit, specifically the solo part. This Warbond is, yet again, a very niche Warbond. Some people are gonna like it, some aren't, and it's very directed towards a very specific niche of players within the Helldivers community. Now, the reason why I bring up the solo part is that this Warbond is very clearly directed towards players who want to take more of a support role, which is not feasible in solo play as, well, you kind of have to do all the killing yourself. Nonetheless, though, I still enjoy testing out these Warbonds in solo play because it gives you a clearer picture and a more consistent variable in drawing a conclusion on these items on an individual level. I was able to still complete 3 full clear missions, 1 on each faction, equipping the Warbond equipment, and we tested out these items individually as well. So yeah, without any further ado, let's start talking about them. First, the Warbond has the following items that we'll be talking about here. An assault rifle with medium armor penetration and stunning rounds, armor sets with the ballistic padding passive, which provides 25% resistance to chest damage, 25% resistance to explosive damage, as well as removes chest bleeding altogether. We also have the stun pods booster, which stuns enemies when a blue stratagem or a Helldiver slams down on the ground. And we have a De-Escalator grenade launcher, which essentially fires blitzer grenades that deal low damage and have a little bit of stun. We also have the K9 guard dog, which is an arc thrower guard dog. And lastly, we have the G109 Urchin, which is essentially a thermite stun version, which we'll go into further details on all of them here in a second. Outside of the Warbond on the Superstore, we can find the heavy armor variant of these armor passives and the new Warrant pistol as well, which fires medium armor penetration shots and has a lock-on mechanic. So with that said, let's start with the page 1 item, the AR-32 Pacifier. The Pacifier, by the way, does have weapon customization, which ranges from sights to underbarrels as well as muzzles, but sadly no drum magazines for this one. In game, we can opt in between auto, semi, and burst, which I personally just stuck to auto the entire time. The Pacifier has a couple of noticeable stats that stand out from the crowd. One, a negative point, is that it has the lowest weapon damage per shot out of all of the assault rifles. I mean, it does have a higher DPS than the Liberator Concussive, to be fair. We currently have no information on its durable damage yet, as I believe that hasn't been data mined yet, but yeah. I guess for the other feature that stands out, now this is going to be a positive one, is the fact that it stuns targets. Mind you, stun, not stagger, which means a couple of shots on most targets freezes them entirely in place, creating some space between you and them, which is kind of nice. When using this pacifier against the automatons, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, the recoil on it is pretty accurate, and due to the fact that it stuns rather than stagger, means that even if you miss your shots on a Devastator's weak spots, for example, as long as you hit them a couple of times, you will stun them in place, making your follow-up shots much easier. And due to its medium armor penetration, it also means we have the potential to kill rocket striders pretty easily, and it can kill gunships as well. The stun on it was oftentimes quite useful against the automatons. I really don't have much to complain here on the automatons. There are better weapons, but really it wasn't that bad of an experience. However, when we go over to the Terminids, I didn't find it worked very well. Again, maybe in team play it will be more useful, but it's like I was saying to chat on the live stream, why would you realistically sit there firing stun rounds at large waves of bugs, trying to stun them for your teammates, when you could just bring a deadlier weapon and kill them instead? Will this weapon be better in team play? 1000%. But does that mean it's going to be a top pick against Terminids? No, I don't think so at all. The best way you can help your team is by helping dealing with the massive amounts of bugs by killing them, not really by keeping them stunned. And yeah, when we go over to the Illuminate, I found this to be even worse. I mean, at least it can kill stingrays, so that's something, but it kind of sucked against everything else. I mean, it sucked against stingrays too, don't get me wrong, but it at least could kill them. Even against Voltluses, you need a couple of shots per Voltlus to kill. The stunning against flesh mobs was also rather inconsistent, and there are dozens of other weapons that deal with overseers far better. Again, stunning them is never going to be as useful as just straight up killing them. So why add an extra step to killing overseers when you can just melt them with better weapons? Now moving on to the armor sets, I feel these armor passives are going to work best against the automatons. The chest and explosive damage resistance is going to be a big help against the constant barrage of shots from the bots, but I wouldn't be doing myself any justice if I didn't bring this up. The prevents all damage from chest bleeding is the worst armor passive we have in the game right now. I mean, this could have been anything else. Heck, the Warbond is so focused on arc damage, we could have just had arc resistance here and it would have fit the whole theme of the Warbond way better. But yeah, it's not all bad. Again, it did feel quite good against automatons. Against Illuminates, it definitely helped a little bit, but not as nearly as much. And as for Terminids, this armor set really doesn't apply here due to the lack of explosive damage, so I just stay away from that. Now moving on to the stun pod booster, this is not really good. I can only think of one scenario for this to work, which is dropping a Tesla tower or a flame sentry right in the middle of a bunch of enemies and having the stun pod kind of stun them to give it some time to react. But yeah, it's very specific at that and it has very little amount of potential there. It's such a niche booster that I honestly think it's going to hurt more than it's going to help, with the blue stratagems generally being called within Helldiver distance. So with that said, let's move on to the De-Escalator. Now, before I express my opinions on this, I must point something out. There have been people saying that the De-Escalator in group play for some reason does way more damage than it does on solo play. I cannot vouch for this information at all, okay? I can only speak from what I've witnessed. In my experiments with the De-Escalator, it is a terrible support weapon. I really hate to say this, but it really is. It does extremely low damage. I mean, I nuked a group of Devastators with pretty much 2 full magazines and they just walk away from it alive. The reload time is also extremely long. It's about 7 seconds, and that's only to refill a couple of shots, which brings me to another issue. The ammo economy on it is horrible. You get 6 shots and then you have to reload for 7 seconds. That's crazy. It almost makes it sound like it does a ton of damage, but it doesn't. The AoE of it is also inconsistent due to its arc nature. Sometimes you'll shoot near you and you'll be fine, and sometimes the arc just decides to zap you despite you being a couple of meters away, making it not only a weak weapon, but a dangerous one at that. And before you say, but Takibo, it's meant to be used to stun enemies, not to kill them. The stun on it is extremely short. For some reason, the stun doesn't work like other stuns generally work, and the stun on the De-Escalator will last for like 1 second in my experience, and then the enemy is right back on its feet. Oh, and I also should point out that it can't close bug holes or fabricators either. The only positive thing I've gathered from this launcher is that its direct hit is pretty strong, and it can get rid of Charger's bots and even kill Bile Titans. I mean, it's not efficient, but it can. Again, it might not be working as intended, but this weapon may actually compete with the Sterilizer for the worst support weapon in the game. I really hope it's not working as intended, because it looks like it could be really good. I don't know if it was meant to either stun harder or do more damage, but yeah. Here's to hoping. Now onto something I did kind of enjoy is the Guard Dog K9. It shoots arc thrower rounds once every couple of seconds, and the way I kind of see it is that it's just passive damage. It doesn't do as much damage as the regular Guard Dog, but the good news is it's got heavy armor penetration, so it can damage anything. And it never really reloads either, so it's just constantly sitting there dealing damage every few seconds. Granted, it's not that deadly, but hey, it's passive damage, and you really don't need to think too much about it. You just put it on and forget about it. I found it performed pretty similarly regardless of the faction. It just snipes out a couple of units every now and then, and that's pretty much the gist of it. As far as the team killing potential goes, yeah, it might team kill quite a bit in team play. I'm not exactly sure though, as I tested it solo, but I can confidently say that it kills you way less than the regular Guard Dog does. The regular Guard Dog sometimes just snipes you out accidentally, but yeah, I used the K9 for like 5 hours today and I only died to it once, so I take that as a win. Lastly, from the Warbond is the G109 Urchin. This is essentially a sticky stun grenade that pulses stuns every couple of seconds. I'll say this, This is better than stun grenades in my opinion, but it still doesn't make it worthwhile bringing. What I enjoyed using it the most was tossing it at a choke point and letting its constant pulses keep enemies stunned and creating this sort of invisible wall they couldn't cross as long as it kept pulsing, which is really cool, but yeah, it does get overshadowed by the gas grenade. The gas grenade does the same exact thing. You can close off choke points and CC enemies that try to cross it. And on top of that, you still get to do tons of damage with it, where the Urchin can't, by the way. The Urchin deals 0 damage. It's just a stun grenade. With that in mind, it also cannot close bug holes or fabricators. So the thing is, I don't think this grenade is bad. I just think there are far better choices out there. Now, Warbond aside, what about the Warrant Superstore pistol? So when we compare the Warrant pistol with the Peacemaker, we'll find that it deals less damage, has less ammo, has more recoil, and it has less fire rate as well. The way it beats the Peacemaker is that it's got medium armor penetration, and it has a lock-on mechanic. So with that said, I found this weapon to be very underwhelming against Terminids. It just doesn't really pack a punch. The lock-on mechanic does you no good against them either. And on top of that, I actually think it's currently broken as it doesn't really lock onto Alpha Commanders. As for automatons, it's a similar story, weak damage, and the lock-on mechanic doesn't focus on weak spots either. Automatons are a very weak spot based faction, and this weapon doesn't manage to focus on those weak spots. So sadly, a very poor pick. But the great news is that it's great against Illuminates, really. I honestly think it might be my new favorite pistol against Illuminates right now. The lock-on mechanic allows you to pretty much guarantee drone kills and essentially shut down all reinforcement cooldowns as long as you pay attention to them. It's really, really good against it. And it actually is a really solid choice against Overseers as well. I think it's currently the best Overseer killing sidearm in the game right now. And it gives you an aimbot, so that's kind of a win-win. With that said, this concludes this Warbond for me. The pistol is great on Illuminates. The AR is good on automatons. The grenade is good, but it's not as good as the other choices in the game. The De-Escalator is absolutely terrible. The Guard Dog is alright. It can be good passive damage. The booster is a huge miss. And the armor set is decent, but it could be better. So all in all, I think it deserves a couple of buffs. Nothing that can't really be improved in this Warbond. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be catching you legends on the next one. Peace!